when the Blues go marching in. Oh, when the Blues go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number when the Blues go marching in. Oh, when the Blues.
If you bleed blues, then this is the show for you. The Blue Note Fan Report, hosted by
the Hawaii Blues fan. Aloha. Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and you got to know I'm bleeding blue with you. This is the show that's by a fan, for the fan, and most definitely about you, the fans. Well, the playoffs are moving right along, and we're going to get into our playoff recap. Currently, 3 of the series are down with 5 to go. Most of the game 4, all the game 4s are done, and some of the game 5s. We'll actually have the game 6s starting before the game 5s finish. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we do that, don't forget, I got to drive to 300. Driving to 300. I need 14 more. I'd love to see it. Well, how about we get started in the Eastern Conference and be all about so in the Eastern Conference, at the very top, we have the Atlantic 1 and Wild Card 2, and that one's done. The Columbus Blue Jackets swept the number 1 Tampa Bay Lightning right out of the playoffs. We talked about that last time. So now we'll drop down to the Blue Jackets prize, and that's either going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Boston Bruins. The Bruins have the 2nd seed, the Maple Leafs have the 3rd, and this series has been nothing but knock down, drag them out. These two teams hate each other. I talked about it before. Game 5 was in Boston. This game had just the feel of a Boston win, that they were going to take this game. I even said on Twitter, at Hawaii Blues fan, by the way, that the Bruins would win this one. And man, was I wrong. This game was tight all the way up into the 3rd period. Austin Matthews scores, and then Kapanen, I think that's saying his night, gets a goal, makes it 2-0 with the man pulled. Boston scores to make it 2-1, but that's it. That's as far as it can get. This one's going back to Toronto. I thought this one was going 7, and it still could. The home teams have won and lost, so Boston has won in Toronto. These two teams hate each other. It's going to be a battle, but I kind of have a feeling that Austin Matthews is going to get to see round 2. So we drop down into what I think is the other surprising side of this bracket, the Metro 1 and Wild Card 2, or Wild Card 1. I think I screwed that up earlier. Wild Card 1, the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought the Storm Surge was done. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, at the beginning of the season, Carolina has a celebration, end of game celebration. They all started at the center line, and they rushed towards and jumped into the inboards. Well, they called that the Storm Surge. Well, they've been doing these celebrations at home after the visiting teams left the ice, hence the Storm Surge. Did not think that the Caps would get beat again, but lo and behold, this game was nasty. There was a Carolina scored in the first 17 seconds. That's important, and we'll know why when we talk about the Blues. 17 seconds into the game, Carolina gets a goal. I'm probably going to say his name now, but Warren Foegele scores with 17 seconds into the game. Just an amazing sequence of events. Just wow. However, late in the 3rd, Fuego got himself in a little bit of hot water, he cross-checked TJ Oshie into the boards. Oshie is hurt and will probably be out for a significant amount of time. I would be surprised if he comes back for the playoffs. Alexander Ovechkin did tie the game up with a power play goal from his office. However, Tyler Vinen scores later, and Carolina wins this game 2-1. Then we drop down. We know that the other series was a sweep. That is the reward for Carolina or Washington is going to be the Islanders. The Islanders swept the Pens. Outstanding. So let's move over to the West. In the West, a shocker. Pacific won, the number 1 seed, is gone 5 games. The Colorado Avalanche just destroyed Calgary today. Beat them 5-1. It was from beginning to end. You hear these guys talk, and I got to hand it to Mike Dante. Mike, during our playoff preview, had said this was going to happen and even called it in 5. I didn't see it. I thought Calgary would win it in 6. Boy, was I wrong. You got to hand it to the Avalanche. And it also goes, and one of the things Mike had told me was this goes to show the strength of the Central. Here it is, our worst team is beating the best team in the West and in 5 games. I got to hand it to him. I think he's right. Also, Brent Johnson, I think that's right. Our number 1 draft pick at one time is going to the second round for the first time ever. You know, I can't have ill will towards him for no matter what happened. So we drop down to the other war in the West. This is the Sharks and the Knights. Game 5 was in San Jose, and believe it or not, so far, San Jose is the only home team to win Game 5. Every other Game 5 that's been played has been lost. The 2 that have been played were lost by the home team, and we'll talk about the other Game 5 coming up. Sharks came back strong, won this game in convincing fashion. It happens. The Knights still hold a 3-2 lead. They have a chance of closing this series out tomorrow at home. I think it's tomorrow at home. I'm thinking that that's what's going to happen. I give it to the Knights being at home. You know, whatever showgirls they were sending, send them back because it worked. Knights will take this one in 6. That's my side. Now we jump up to the series that hasn't gone to Game 5 yet, and that is the one of most interest to Blues fans, would be the Nashville Predators and Dallas Stars. They got 2 days off again. Now, you got to remember, in this series, this is the second time in this series that they've had 2 days off. I actually think that these 2 days off really help the Predators. In Game 4, Dallas just destroyed them. 4 goals in the first period. Ended up being 5-1. We talked about this a little bit. I think I had said originally that Nashville was going to win this game. I'm kind of changing my mind now, since most of the only Game 5 that's been won by the home team was by the Sharks, and that was an elimination game. This isn't an elimination game. I have a feeling Dallas has got something for them. I'm going to pick Dallas in this one. Okay, let's drop down to the game that you guys all want to talk about. Game 5, Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues, in Winnipeg with the whiteout. Oh my goodness. You want to think, I mean, us here in the U.S., we think we love our sports, right? We think we love our teams and all that. We got nothing on hockey in Canada. So they have a 13,000-seat arena, and they packed it. Well, you know what they did? They decided to mark off an area around the arena and sell tickets for charity for $5 a piece. Another 11,000 people showed up, almost double. I don't see another 16,000 showing up at the Enterprise Center to watch the Blues. Now, we get into the finals, I could see that. Boy, we get in the final, I want to be there in that. However, that's Canadian hockey. Well, this game did not go the Blues' way. I'm going to get into it a little bit. I'm not going to get into it a lot because there's some things that I've seen that I want to talk about, some trends. And trends are very important to me in playoffs. So I said earlier that Carolina scored 17 seconds in. Well, not to be outdone, the Jets scored 12 seconds in. Pass or the shot, it hit Bennington, that went right out into the slot. I mean, just right out. O'Reilly caught O'Reilly off guard. He wasn't in position to defend it. The puck got returned right back into the net. I kind of put this one on Bennington, but it could go both ways. I think everyone understands that sometimes you just don't realize what's happened or everything, and a defensive breakdown. 1-0 Jets in the first. Later in the first, the Jets get another goal, make it 2-0, and this game really had that feel of the Jets just owned the Blues. It really did. It was hard to watch at some points. It gave a lot of people, Blues Twitterverse and Facebook groups, people were, leaping off bridges. Oh my God, how bad is this team? How can they do it again? This, that, and the other. Get to the second, and it's a tight period, but it looks like, for the most part, the Jets have owned this period. Late in the first period or second period, there's a penalty that carries over. This kind of bodes well. However, so two things happened in the second period that really set the tone for this game. The first one was Kevin Hayes, who had scored the second goal early in the first. The puck is shot. It goes through Bennington's leg, and it's starting to go into the net. However, as Hayes is trying to knock it in, I couldn't see who the defender was. The Blues defender kind of forces him or pushes him, causing his stick to snap back and pushing the puck out of the net. Well, this becomes bigger later in the game. That would have made it 3-0. That could have been huge. Then, about 9.5 minutes into the second period, Oscar Sundqvist is called for a double minor. Up to this point of the game, the Jets had controlled the game. They really had. Well, now, them being on a 4-minute penalty kill or power play makes you think that they're going to score again and this game's going to be over. Talking to Mike Dante, he said, we kill this penalty off, we're going to win this game. And I got to hand it to him. The kill of this penalty, 4 minutes, and they got one shot off. The Blues kept it outside. Their shots were wide. They were tight. When you're shooting wide like that, they're playing tight. They're playing scared. They're playing worried. And they shouldn't have, but they were. And it showed up in this. I talked about a little bit earlier about there being a late penalty in the second. That carried over in the first. The importance here is Ryan O'Reilly scores a goal early in the third to make it 2-1. Now this game has that feel of uneasiness. You can see it in the crowd. Then comes the controversy. Now, I say it's controversy only because the net got knocked off its moorings, and a lot of people thought originally that the goal shouldn't have counted. However, if the net is knocked off the mooring while the player is in the act of shooting, or the puck has already been shot, and the goal goes in, it will count if the opposing team knocked the net off or forced the net to be knocked off. So what that means here is our boy Sundqvist, Sonny D, is right there. He is pushed by Bufflin into the net. I mean, hard too. I mean, he's had ice on his ribs after it. He left the game. That's how hard he got pushed into it. And it knocks the net off the mooring as the puck is going into the net. This counts. I'm sorry. And this is one of the problems that the NHL has had is goals not counting because of the net getting knocked off. Goalies themselves at times would set their shoulders back and lift or try and push to get the net knocked off. We ran into this problem in St. Louis a little while back where the holes in the ice weren't right and the net was just coming off as the goalie was pushing on it. This goal counts. There shouldn't have been any controversy. However, Since the net came off its moorings, it counts. And I'm sorry, Hollybuck, that one is on your team, plain and simple. That counts. And then 2-2 game. Looks like we're going into overtime. And it just, you sit there and I'm trying to figure this out. Bozak, along the boards, just centers the puck. Jaden Schwartz, who has been snake bit all year long, lifts his stick up and bats it out of the air, directs it right in the net. Colin Hollybuck called it lucky pinballs. I'm sorry. That happens to the Blues all the time. It's nice for it to happen to us. The one thing in this series that hasn't gone the Blues' ways yet has been the lucky bounces. The things that just haven't gone the Blues' way. It just seemed that the puck bounces have gone the Jets' way the whole series. This time, it went the Blues' way. The Blues took advantage of it and won this game. Now I talked about the importance of trends. I am having a hard time looking at this game and calling it because my head wants to say the Jets are going to win this in St. Louis. My heart says the Blues are going to win it. My head is going, okay, the home team hasn't won yet. Very true. The games have followed the same pattern. Game 1 in Winnipeg, the Jets played tight. Blues were able to get goals. At one time they were trailing, but they came back, won that game. Trailing. Game 2, Blues trailing, come back, tied up late, Blues win it. In St. Louis, they score an early goal. Blues score an early goal. Jets come back and make the floodgates open and win that one. Blues played tight first game in St. Louis. Second game, same thing. Tight game all the way down. It ends up going into overtime. And, defensive breakdown, whatever. Goal scored, it's 2-2. You get into Winnipeg, and you see Winnipeg, for the majority of this game, control this game until the third period. Same as happened in other games. One team controlled it for the first 2 until the third. That happened in game 4, basically. The Blues had a 1-0 lead in the third period, and they just let Winnipeg get back in the game. So the trends are very important. The other trend is that the fact that the home team has lost almost all the game 5s but one, with one to be played. So what's going to happen in game 6? I am torn. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that Winnipeg has got it coming. They're going to come out with everything. So you weather the storm. If you can keep the puck out of the net in the first period, you're going to win this game. If they score 1 and you can even it back up, you're going to take it away from them and you're going to win this game. If they start scoring on will, we're done. I'm going, and you know what? Tooting my horn a little bit. Toot, 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 toot. I called this game. I said 3-2 Blues. I was right. And I'm thinking about this one, and I have a feeling that this is going to be a very, very tight game. I'm going to say 2-1 Blues. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, Blues fans, I can't wait for this game tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get to watch it, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to find out what's going on. I say this with all love and respect. Aloha, mahalo. I can't wait to see you on the next BlueNote Fan Report. Oh, Mr. Jeremy.